Welcome to Expressions of Leadership. I'm your host, Michele Kawamoto Perry. In every episode, we explore how people from educators and artists to executives and entrepreneurs lead with authenticity, rise through adversity, and share the wisdom they've gained along the way. Today's guest is Nona Bayat. Nona is a fitness entrepreneur, content creator, and host of the Her Health podcast. What began as sharing workout videos during college has grown into a global platform that reaches millions of women with evidence-based information about strength training, nutrition, and women's health. Rather than chasing trends, she's focused on helping women make informed decisions that improve both their health today and their quality of life decades from now. Today, we'll talk about building influence without seeking fame, the responsibility that comes with having millions of followers, how leadership evolves alongside success, and why empowering women with trustworthy health information may be one of the most important forms of leadership today. Nona, welcome to Expressions of Leadership. I appreciate you joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Michele. I'm very honored to be here today as well.
Let's start at the beginning. Long before millions of people were following your content, you were actually a competitive athlete, and you started swimming competitively at just 9 years old and spent years in the pool before discovering weightlifting. What first drew you to sports, and what role did athletics play in shaping who you were growing up?
Well, honestly, it's actually a funny story. So my parents put me into basketball and swim at a very young age because I was actually really, really short for my class. So they're like, okay, maybe if they do these sports, like she'll grow a little bit. And obviously it's a myth, but they put me into swim, hoping that I'll grow a few inches. And I actually fell in love with swim a lot. It was very like therapeutic, and it taught me a lot about mental toughness because we used to like practice during the winter when it was freezing cold and we had to jump into the pool, whether it was rain or shine, cold or hot. And it taught me a lot about discipline at a very, very young age. And it's something that I think shaped who I am today. So I'm very grateful for that.
And at one point, you saw your brother lifting weights, which is what started your fascination with it. And you realized that muscle on women looked empowering rather than intimidating. Why do you think that perspective isn't one that more young women grow up hearing?
I think it's the society that we live in today. It's kind of like forced through us through like media and what we consume every single day to always be as small and weak because that's associated with femininity. But I think that's wrong. We should always look at our bodies as uh, basically our home and how we could take care of it for the long run. So I think it's really important for women to is not look at muscle as masculine, to look at muscle as signs of longevity and confidence and discipline and self-respect. So I think like for me, whenever I see anyone who's super fit, muscular, especially women in public, I just immediately like have some sort of respect for them because I know how much time and effort went into it for a very, very long time in order for them to have the physique that they have today. So I think it's really important to make that switch in our minds.
It's such an important point because stereotypes and societal expectations can have a really profound impact on women's health. So, redefining what a healthy female body looks like is a critical part of helping women become healthier, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well.
Yes, 100%.
Well, you originally planned on becoming a physician.
Mhm.
What was drawing you toward medicine from such a young age?
I always, I think honestly, my first hint or entryway into this world was it's kind of a little sad story, but my grandpa was suffering from cancer and he passed away because of lung cancer. So I guess learning what cancer was at a young age and seeing the impact that it took on him and then being in hospitals 24/7 kind of made me curious about what medicine was. And the older that I got, the more I was fascinated with just the human body. I remember my parents would take me to the bookstore and I would buy like 3D books about the human body where you flip and it like talks about the organ, showed you the organ, and it gave you fun facts about it. And it was one of my favorite books, and I used to take it everywhere with me. And so I was always fascinated about this world inside of us. Like it's a completely different world in here, and we don't know about it. And we just, go about and have our coffee and go work out. But there's thousands and millions of cells inside of us working to keep you alive. So I thought that was so fascinating. So just the human body was something that really intrigued me and fascinated me. And that's why I was so interested in becoming a physician and going to med school. And on top of that, I truly love helping people. So it was just two of my favorites just combined in one. So it just made sense.
So you were studying pre-med essentially while you were in college, right?
Correct. Yeah. I took all my pre-med courses. I took the MCAT. I applied. So I did everything. And then in that time period, I was actually dibble dabbling into social media as well, kind of on accident. So I think it was fate in some sense.
And you have an interesting story about a mentor who encouraged you to reconsider medical school. Can you tell us that story and what made you willing to take that leap?
Yes. So in when I was studying at UCLA, I was interning at a psychology lab, and my mentor, who was the head of this department, actually told me no, because I asked her to write me my letter of recommendation for med school. And she was like, you know what? I'm not going to write this for you. And I was so offended. Like, I was so hurt that she said this to me at first. And she was like, I think what you have going on for you is something very rare and something that can completely change your life. And she basically told me to bet on myself and go all in this world that I'm dibble dabbling into. So I do give her a lot of credit for my success, because if it wasn't for her talking to me and kind of telling me to like take this little risk, then I don't think I would be here today. So, and it was really shocking because everyone in that lab was applying to med school and law school, and she was writing everyone's letter of recommendation. And then for me, she was like, no. And I was like, no, why? But it honestly turned out better than I expected.
What do you think it was that she saw as you were starting, as you said, to dabble into social media?
I think the fact that in a short amount of time, I completely grew in like I got I think 1 million followers in less than 6 months that I started social media. So she was like, you're onto something, you have something. And she like knew me as a person as well. And she knew the type of person I am, type of student I was. So she just saw something in me in which I couldn't see in myself back then.
And what was it that inspired you to start dabbling in social media and start posting?
So when after I graduated high school and quit my swim team, I wanted to stay active. So that's when I took up weightlifting. And when I was, going into the gym, I was looking at fitness influencers online because I had no idea what I was doing. So I was learning online. And when TikTok first took off in 2020, it was primarily a dancing app. So people were like dancing, doing cute trends. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to start posting my workouts on here, because inside me, like in my gut, I had a feeling that this is going to be the next YouTube in some sense. And so I was one of the very few people to post fitness content when it was a dancing app. So I think because I was very raw, transparent, and kind of in some sense educated on the human body, because back then in that time period, people were still talking about, oh, booty bands are going to make you grow your glutes. And I just knew the science behind it and I knew that was false. So I think just bringing my knowledge and the fact that I was still a student, but still maintaining a really great physique really caught people's eyes. So it was kind of an accident, but I kind of knew in some sense that let me just give it a shot, you know? But I never expected to have the success that I have today. I just was doing it for fun.
Did you have any sense that your life was about to change?
Oh no, not at all.
I mean, overnight, one of your videos reached 5 million views. What was happening emotionally while your audience was just exploding?
I honestly, it didn't impact me because I was like, oh, like it's just one video, whatever. Like it happens, you know? And I remember it vividly. I was in my psychology class and I got out and I got a text message from like a friend from like 10 years ago that I haven't spoken to. She's like, oh my God, like you just came on my feed. Your video is having like a crazy like virality right now. It has like 5 million views, this and that. And I was like, oh. So then I went and I checked and I was like, oh my God, like this video is going crazy online. But then I just went out about my day because I was like, oh, it's just a one hit wonder. Like I still need to focus, you know? So I didn't let it impact me.
And what was it you think about that video that made it go viral?
Honestly, I think it's just right timing. Like, I feel like when you're scrolling and you're seeing a bunch of dancing videos, and then all of a sudden you see an ab workout about a girl studying in school, it kind of catches your attention. And it was very quick and simple, and it was like no fluff. Like, I was literally working out in my apartment gym, and I told my roommate, hey, can you just record this? And I just posted it, and it just did really well. So I think it was very authentic in some sense.
Now, you also describe yourself as naturally shy and introverted. You were even blocking people that you knew from seeing your videos at first. How do you reconcile being introverted with becoming such a public figure?
Honestly, throughout my life, I was very shy and introverted, and I kind of wanted TikTok to just be like my safe place, you know, somewhere that I could like express myself. And I was expressing myself through fitness and health and just sharing my knowledge. And I didn't want anyone to, I don't know, look at me differently or judge me. It was something that made me happy. And I knew that if I like saw people making comments in my hometown or like in my school campus about it, it would discourage me. So I never told anyone what I was doing. And I actually blocked my family members, friends, anyone that I could think of who would stumble upon my videos because I just wanted it just to be my little thing. I wasn't doing it to get like the approval of like others around me. And then with the success, obviously, I think social media kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone and made me a very confident and extroverted person. I'm a completely different person that today than I was before social media. So I think social media was a blessing in disguise because it really pushed me outside of my comfort zone.
And looking back, was there a moment when you realized this is not just social media anymore? This is becoming my life's work.
Yes. So I think getting booked by brands a lot and like booking trips to go on these brand trips and interviews and photo shoots. I was like, yeah, this is my life's work now. Like, this isn't just a little tiny side gig or a passion project. This is my life. And I think getting thousands of DMs talking about, oh, how can I change my physique? Or, oh, you saved my life doing this and that. I was like, okay, like this is a lot bigger than what I thought it was going to be.
And was that starting to happen when you were in college?
Yes.
And so that's probably why your mentor also said, hey, you got a good thing going here. You might want to put off med school.
Yes, 100%. I don't know how she knew because she's a lot older. So I was like, wait, why are you trusting me so much with like taking this risk? But I think she was I don't know, maybe my guardian angel in some sense. I have no idea, but it was kind of crazy how she said that. I was very like shocked when she said that too, because I was like, what are you talking about? Like, why should I take a risk? Like, this is going to med school is the safe like thing to do. It's the more rational thing to do. Why should I like bet everything that also like I when you want to go to med school, like you're preparing your entire life to go to med school and you sacrifice so much, so many like hours spent interning, sleepless nights studying. And I was like, why am I just going to throw everything away? So I was very shocked that she said that, but I'm very grateful now.
Are you still in touch with her?
No, but I was actually thinking about reaching out to her because she came up the other day too. And I was like, wait, I should find what her contact information is and thank her, to be honest. Yeah.
Be quite the reunion.
Yes.
We're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll explore what happens when millions of people begin looking to you for advice and how Nona has built trust in an industry often filled with misinformation. Stay with us. Leadership isn't just about strategy, it's about people. The Forward Project helps organizations cultivate strong, adaptable leaders who create thriving workplace cultures. If you're ready to invest in your leadership team, visit www.theforwardproject.co to learn how. Welcome back to Expressions of Leadership. I'm Michele Kawamoto Perry, and today I'm speaking with fitness entrepreneur, content creator, and host of the Her Health podcast, Nona Bayat, whose mission is helping women around the world become stronger, healthier, and more informed. Now, Nona, as we talked about, you never wanted to be an influencer, yet today millions of women trust your advice. How has your definition of influence changed?
I think in the beginning, I thought influence meant popularity. I thought it meant, views, numbers, followers, people knowing you when you walk out the door. But I today my view of influence is completely different than it was before. I think influence is more about building trust and speaking to people and changing their lives. I think that's what real influence looks like. I think back then I focused a lot about, getting millions of views, but today I'm like, I'm more fulfilled if I know I changed even like five people's lives, like truly changed their lives for the best and saved them in some sense. So I think that's what influence looks today for me.
Well, one thing I admire is that you consult physicians and registered dietitians before promoting information. Why was creating that standard so important to you?
Well, I think women's health is a topic that isn't talked about much already, and there's a lot of misinformation online. And if there is information, there's a lack of information online. And I know I'm not a physician or a registered dietitian, but I know I have a platform and I could get people on and speak about, anything women's health related because of my platform. So I'm like, okay, let me make some use out of my millions of followers and do some good and hopefully do something for women's health. So I created a podcast. I bring people on and we talk about everything women's health related because I think information is power. And I feel like by knowing more about women's health, we can go further in life and, just prosper like as women.
Did you ever get pitched products, or maybe you still do, that you just said, no, I don't think that this is healthy at all for my audience?
Oh, all the time. I've lost so much money because I reject brand deals that aren't aligned with my values and are inauthentic with me. I think when you are true to yourself and your values, you get rewarded in other ways. So I never was like bought in some sense because I wasn't trying to become an influencer. It was never about the money for me. It was just about changing the world for the best. And if a brand isn't aligned with that, then it's just not my brand.
Well, millions of people could act on something that you post. Do you ever feel the weight of that responsibility? And how does that influence the decisions that you do make about your content?
I do feel that way because it makes me, in some sense, a little bit more paranoid with what I post. I go back and forth. I text my like physician friends before I say anything. I do hours of research before I post anything because you can influence anyone. And if you're posting the wrong thing, you can seriously harm that person without knowing. So I take that very, very seriously. And whatever I post, I make sure that it's evidence based and it's true.
And your audience also spans the globe. And for some, access to gyms or quality health education may be limited. How has having a global audience changed the way that you communicate?
Well, I know that everyone's life is different. That's why with posting workouts online, I always add like body weight exercises and at home workouts because I've been there where I didn't want to go to the gym or didn't have access to a gym, and you can have a great workout just by yourself with a mat, or honestly, you don't even need a mat. You could just do an at home workout and have a great workout. And I think the videos that I post do well because I show the movements really well. And you don't even need to speak English to know what I'm trying to say or what I'm trying to do. But also with today's day and age, I think AI has played a huge role. And on Instagram, if I post a talking video, they could actually translate it into their own language. So if someone's from Mexico and they're watching my video, they could actually translate it and it looks like I'm speaking Spanish. So I think AI has tapped into content creation and made it more accessible for everyone around the globe. So I think that's pretty wonderful as well.
What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that you wish women understood about strength training?
I think people think, I think women think that if they go grab a heavy weight, automatically they're going to turn like the Hulk and become super, super bulky. When that's not the case, our body is completely different than a man's body. We can lift so heavy and still not look like the Hulk. And I think in some women's heads, they think that if they lift heavy, they're going to look like a pro bodybuilder. But even pro bodybuilder women, they go through years of just insane diets and insane training with a coach, and sometimes they're enhanced. So I think that's a huge misconception that your physique is going to just become more masculine. But in my opinion, I think I feel more feminine with lifting weights and I feel more comfortable in my own body with lifting weights. So I think that's a huge misconception.
And you have been shifting from primarily fitness into broader women's health science. What was it that inspired that evolution?
Well, I think I was looking into more about our muscle gains and how we could just be optimal when we train for, our physique. And I realized that it's a lot more about the food that you eat, hitting your protein and lifting weights. It's a lot more. It's a completely different world. So I think learning about rest, gut health, mental health, and stress and how that impacts your body and how that impacts your muscle growth really made me dive into women's health because at the end of the day, they're all intertwined. So taking care of your health and every single aspect of your health can make your physique better. So I think that's why I made that shift.
Now, historically, much of the medical research centered on men. How do you think that's affected women's understanding of their own health?
I mean, throughout the years, for a really long time, we were looked at as in little men. We're completely different than men. Our internal biology is completely different than men. So I think for a really long time, we were taught that our symptoms were just dramatic, normal for what they were, like having horrible period pains or hot flashes when you're in your menopause phase, or just, I don't know, mental health as well is completely different than men. And they were labeled as dramatic or just dismissed. So I think there was no clear answer for us. But I feel like with today's day and age, we're learning more about women's health and there's being more research done and there's a light that's shined on us. And I think with that, we could completely change how we view our own bodies.
Let's take a brief pause. When we come back, we'll move behind the scenes and talk about leadership inside Nona's own business, the values that guide her team, and the lessons she's learned while growing a rapidly expanding platform. Don't go anywhere. Are you looking to connect with an audience passionate about leadership, growth, and success? Become a sponsor of Expressions of Leadership and align your brand with inspiring conversations that make an impact. Contact us at letstalk@expressionsofleadership.com to explore sponsorship opportunities. This is Expressions of Leadership. I'm your host, Michele Kawamoto Perry, and my guest today is Nona Bayat, whose work is helping redefine how women think about fitness, health, and long-term well-being through science-backed education. Nona, as your business has grown, you've gone from creator to leader. What has surprised you the most about leading a team?
Well, I think with leading a team, you have to take a step back because you're kind of leading a ship in some sense. So it's a lot more about communication and learning how to work with different roles and different people and creating a safe environment. I feel like as a creator, we're so used to just working by ourselves and moving through a fast paced life and not having people to manage because you're only managing yourself. But as a leader, it taught me to take a step back and move slow enough and delegate and trust people and communicate and create a nice culture or work culture so we could all work together and achieve the same goal. So it taught me a lot more about communication and a lot more about teamwork.
In learning about your leadership philosophy, I understand that there are 4 values that guide how you lead your team: honesty, responsiveness, kindness, and equality. Why are those 4 so important to you?
Well, I think honesty builds trust. And I think trust is extremely important in every aspect of your life, especially in business. And responsiveness, because it helps prevent small issues turning into bigger problems later on. So I feel like we have to just learn how to be more responsive, especially if you're leading a team and have a lot of people working underneath you. Kindness matters a lot. I would never want to create a work environment in which people hate coming to work. I want people to be excited to come to work and love coming to work and actually feel energized at work and after they leave work, because a happy person is more willing to pour their all into something and thrive. And I don't want anyone to, I don't know, have a horrible quality of life because of work or their work environment. So kindness goes a really, really long way for me. And equality is especially important to me because I don't want anyone on my team to feel like their voice doesn't matter or they feel less because of their role. Equality is extremely important because I want everyone to be comfortable with voicing their opinions and have that confidence. So as I've grown, I've just realized that those are the pillars that I stand by.
And you believe in minimizing hierarchy and meeting people in the middle. What does that look like in practice?
I feel like structure is extremely important and it helps for us to make clear decision making. But I don't want the position of leadership to be intimidating or very distant. So I always have a very approachable approach and listen before I react and take a step back and make space for my team and make space for them to express themselves and be confident enough to share their opinions and their ideas with me. I always say there's no such thing as a bad idea. So any idea is a good idea in my eyes, and we could just pivot and work through it.
Early on, while you were creating content, you took rejection personally because your brand felt like an extension of yourself. What helped you to separate business decisions from personal worth?
I feel like when you make money by posting your life and someone says, oh, yeah, we don't want to work with her because of who you are, you take offense in some sense. I think content creation is fairly new still. And it's hard and there's no playbook and there's no book, or it's very black and white. No one really is transparent and tells you what to do. So, learning to take a step back and not be offended about working with some brands, or if something happens or business decision happens that's not in your favor, was a huge thing that I had to learn to do, because at the end of the day, like, you have to separate yourself from your business. It's not a brand's decision, or a business decision isn't a reflection of who you are. So,
And how do you make difficult decisions while still staying connected to those values that you mentioned?
I always try to think, if this decision is honest, fair, and aligns with who I am and my values that I hold. I think if I make a decision, I want to see if Nona from 10 years from now would be happy that I made that decision and still respect that decision. So those are the things that I think about.
So, have there been moments when saying no became one of the most important leadership skills that you've had to develop?
Oh, yes. I used to be such a huge people pleaser, but throughout the years, this industry has made me stand on my 2 feet and stand up for myself. I think saying no is very powerful and empowering, and it helps you stay aligned with who you are and stay authentic to yourself and to your audience. And at the end of the day, I feel like in some sense, I'm like the mother and my children are my audience. So I'll do anything to protect themselves. And saying no has helped me a lot with staying true to myself and my audience.
Well, what leadership lessons have come from building something in public instead of behind closed doors?
Oh my God, so many. I think building something in public teaches you a lot about humility. It's a different feeling when you're building something in public in the eyes of millions of people. And if you make a wrong decision that has upset people, or just the wrong business decision for your products, and you're sharing that, I think it takes a lot of humility for sure. So it taught me a lot about humility, and to not see mistakes as failure, and to show it to the world is like a learning step. Like, I'm going to improve from this. Yes, I failed, but I'll come back and I'll do better. So in some sense, it taught me a lot about humility, but also built trust with my audience a lot.
Well, we're going to take a short break. And when we return, we'll talk about boundaries, burnout, online criticism, and the habits that help Nona stay grounded while leading such a visible life. We'll be right back. True transformation starts from within. The Forward Project partners with organizations to create meaningful culture shifts and develop leaders who inspire real change. If your team is ready to move forward with purpose, visit www.theforwardproject.co. Welcome back to Expressions of Leadership. I'm Michele Kawamoto Perry, and today we're talking with Nona Bayat about leadership, resilience, and empowering women to take ownership of their health through education and strength. Nona, you openly acknowledge that time management and boundaries are still works in progress. What are the signals that tell you that you're getting out of balance?
The signals would be if I'm not resting enough. I feel like when I'm not resting enough, I get injured quickly. So whenever I get an injury, that's a huge indicator that I need to take a step back and learn a little bit more about time management and putting time aside for myself.
Well, you also have accountability partners who notice when you're not taking care of yourself. How important is building that kind of community for you as a leader?
I think having accountability partners is really important in order to be successful, because maybe you don't see where you're taking a step back, but others can see and they can tell you. So having family members or friends or boyfriend or girlfriend to tell you, hey, like, I think you need to take a step back and, rethink some things, is extremely important as a leader.
Like you said, you can't always see it yourself. And so when you have those trusted allies that can help you see something that you may not be aware of, it's incredibly valuable.
Yes.
And speaking of family, your influence has transformed your own family's health habits. What has it been like watching your parents embrace healthier lifestyles?
Oh, it's been amazing. I did not grow up in a healthy household whatsoever. I remember when I was a kid, our breakfast used to be literally Nutella on toast and like cereal that was full of sugar. And that was breakfast. So my dad actually, he's borderline diabetic right now. So he has to watch his blood sugar. And going into this health and fitness world, it taught me a lot about taking care of my health, but taking care of my family's health as well. So now I am monitoring them. I go through their cabinets. I toss out things that will harm their health. But they've also seen how much my life has changed and how much fitness and taking care of myself has changed me as a person. So they also are inspired to like better themselves and better their lifestyles and listen and be educated. So it's been very wonderful. Like we're all in this together in some sense.
And your brother seems to be someone that you deeply admire. What leadership qualities do you see in him that continue to inspire you?
Oh, he's someone that I 100% admire. He is my inspiration. He makes me want to be a better person. He's very patient. My brother is someone that he doesn't care if the room is burning, he's calm. So his calmness, his patience, his ability to understand people and sit down and work through problems without panicking is something that I truly admire from him.
Well, now let's switch to some of the most challenging aspects of social media. And that is that social media inevitably brings criticism. How have you learned not to let online negativity define your confidence?
I stand by the saying that miserable people will hate. You will never see someone who's happy and content with their life talking down upon a random person online. So that's something that I stand by. And that's why I've never let any negative comments impact me because I have a lot of confidence in who I am as a person. So some random person in probably a basement talking badly upon me is not going to impact me.
And how have you learned to just move past all of that?
I think again, like learning boundaries with social media, I treat it as my work. So if someone says anything bad upon like about me, I just know like it's a them problem. It's not a me problem.
And do you think some of that understanding comes from your own educational background?
Honestly, I think maybe my time studying psychology back at UCLA has helped me a lot because you learn a lot about, human behavior and emotions. So I think just education too.
Now, I know that research is something that not only fascinates you, but is also something that you see as really important to your business. And part of that research is reading books, and you read a variety of books every month across psychology and business, self development, and even fantasy. What ideas have influenced your thinking recently from the books that you've read?
Well, I know that my psychology books help me understand human behavior and emotion a lot. So I apply that to my work as well because it helps me kind of make my content digestible for people. And then business books have helped me create systems and learn more about leadership and how to build things for the long term goal. And my self development books help me, be true to myself and learn how to build better habits for myself. And if I could make myself better, I could pour that into my work and just be better for other people around me. But I think the most impactful books that I've read are something that people won't expect, but it's fantasy books. I love fantasy books, and that has helped me be more creative and more imaginative. So I think that one genre is one that has impacted my life a little bit more.
Well, we're going to take one last break. Up next, we'll look toward the future, what Nona hopes to build next, the legacy she wants to leave for women around the world, and we'll up with some wisdom and whimsy. Don't miss a thing. Follow Expressions of Leadership on your favorite podcast app and connect with us on Instagram and YouTube at Expressions of Leadership. This is Expressions of Leadership. I'm Michele Kawamoto Perry, and we're wrapping up today's conversation with Nona Bayat, fitness entrepreneur, educator, and host of the Her Health podcast, whose work is inspiring millions of women to become stronger in every sense of the word. Nona, as you look toward the next chapter, where do you see your mission evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
I think I see my mission evolving from content creating to building something that's a lot bigger than me and that will stay and impact people's life long before I'm gone. So, in some sense, anything in the women's health area and empowering women and bettering their lives, something that will be a lot bigger than me is something that I'm hoping to work towards and accomplish.
And is there a conversation about women's health that you believe society still isn't having enough?
I think a lot about women's health society isn't talking about enough, but particularly about menopause. My mom's actually going through it. She's in her premenopausal phase right now. And I honestly did not know what menopause was. And it's crazy how we as women aren't taught about menopause in school, but everyone has a period talk. Everyone has that at a very young age. I think it's like in middle school that we have that, but we're never taught about menopause. So I think society isn't talking more about that phase in our life. And I think as a woman, we need to stay educated on that. And maybe we could help prevent and lessen the symptoms that we have when we're in the other half of our life.
And in fact, that's a topic that you are currently highlighting on your show.
Oh, yes. I actually brought a menopause expert. That's why I went to Florida because she's a menopause expert in Miami. And I was like, we need a talk. So we brought her on and she educated us and she informed us about a lot of things. And she talked about the misinformation online and she talked about how there was this one research about hormone therapy and it was wrong. And for 20 years, people didn't, do it for women. And hormones is something that completely changes when you're in that phase of your life. So she was very insightful and taught me a lot about menopause and my audience a lot about menopause.
Well, what excites you most about the future of women's health research and education?
I think what excites me more is that women aren't accepting any more vague answers anymore. And we're like demanding to know about our bodies and we're demanding to know the specifics because it's been dismissed literally like for our entire existence in some sense. So I think demanding more research and demanding better studies and better education and conversations is what excites me the most.
And is there any particular area that you really want to focus on?
Weightlifting 100%. I think for a really long time, maybe throughout history, like we've been taught to stay as fragile as possible. And with more studies coming out, we're realizing that yes, resistance training is the fountain of youth. And yes, resistance training can help prevent a lot of things that we struggle with later on in our lives. Like weight training is essential even when you're in your premenopausal or menopausal phase. And even when you're in your 20s or even when you're in high school. So it's something that's so vital for us, especially as a woman. And I'm really excited to dive more into that.
Well, when people look back on your work decades from now, what do you hope they say that you've helped change?
Decades from now, I think I would say the misconception around weightlifting and the woman physique and the woman body, that's the one thing.
And then that would ultimately help them to what for you?
To better their lives and build more confidence in themselves and feel more empowered.
And for people who want to follow your work or your podcast and everything that you're building, where can they find you?
I'm on TikTok and Instagram at Nona Bayat, and I'm on YouTube at the Nona Bayat. And my podcast is called Her Health Podcast on all platforms.
And now it's time for our Wisdom and Whimsy segment of the show, where I get to ask the guest one advice question and one fun question. So, starting with the advice question, For someone who's looking to grow physically, mentally, or emotionally, what's one daily habit that you believe is worth committing to?
I think weight training. Weight training is a lot more than the physical aspect. It really teaches you about the mental aspect as well and mental toughness. When you're in the weight room and you're picking up a weight and you're repping it out till failure, your brain literally tells you to stop and your muscles literally burn so much to the point that you want to give up, but you push yourself and build that confidence in yourself that you could do hard things. And emotionally as well, when you go to the gym and you work out, you just feel so much better afterwards. So I think weight training is the one thing that I believe every single woman should commit to because it truly does impact you way more than physical.
To this day, do you see yourself trying to beat that next level and that next level?
Oh, yes, 100%. It's a challenge that I love to wake up to.
And now for the fun question. You've admitted that your favorite cheat food is a good donut. If we were going on the ultimate Los Angeles donut tour, where would we absolutely have to stop?
100% DK's Donut Shop. I think that's in Santa Monica. That's my favorite place to go to for a cronut. A cronut is basically a croissant mixed with a donut, and they have this one flavor that has Nutella and a strawberry on top. And it's one of my favorite cheap food donuts. So that's in Santa Monica. And then my other favorite would be Blinky's Donuts. That's actually in the valley, and their donuts are so fresh and they sell out so quickly. And then Krispy Kreme as well. I think nothing beats a warm Krispy Kreme glazed donut.
I'm getting that historical or that sort of childhood desire for Nutella. So maybe even though the foods were not necessarily healthy, it's still something that brings you back to wonderful memories of your childhood.
It does. It does.
Nona, thank you so much for joining me on Expressions of Leadership today. One thing that has really stayed with me from our conversation is your incredible commitment to helping women build strength that lasts, not just in the gym, but in the confidence, the knowledge, and the habits that shape a lifetime of health. And you've also shown that leadership is about more than influence. It's about earning trust and staying true to your values and using your voice to create meaningful change in the lives of others.
Thank you. Yes, it's my complete passion, and I hope that I get to do this for a very, very long time.
And thanks to our audience for listening to Expressions of Leadership. If today's conversation inspired you, please subscribe and share this episode with someone who could benefit from it. You can also connect with us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm Michele Kawamoto Perry. Until next time, remember that leadership is at its best when it helps others grow stronger, wiser, and more confident in who they are and what's possible. If you haven't done so already, make sure to click on that follow button so you don't miss out on future episodes. Have a guest you'd like us to interview? Questions, ideas, or just want to say hello? You can reach us at letstalk@expressionsofleadership.com or connect with us on Instagram or YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks to our amazing team behind the scenes for making this podcast possible, including our sound engineer, Graham Palmer, and my chief encourager and advisor, Jeremiah Higgins.